empty. Well, that certainly exemplified last year's Atlantic 10 Tournament Championship Final. It was 1-4 in the time capsule. Bitterly fought between Jeff Cheney's Temple Owls and the Rhode Island Rams. The game came down to final shots. Pepe Sanchez was clutch as ever for Temple. However, Lamar Odom had the final say. 30 feet away. Jumper in the air. Welcome, everybody, to the First Union Spectrum here in Philadelphia, where we hope to have that kind of excitement all week. And we begin with the final game of the first round tonight. The Rhode Island Rams taking on the Xavier Musketeers. Hi, everybody. Dave Sims along with Jay Billis. Good to have you with us. And, Jay, some key ingredients for our game tonight.
Well, Maurice McAfee is going to be one of the leaders of this team for Xavier. He's going to have to get out and help put that pressure on with his full speed, full court pressure. And Rhode Island is going to have to handle it. They know that the Musketeers are going to come after them. They're going to get some open shots if they can break that initial surge, but it's going to be difficult.
Yes, indeed. Take a look at the starting lineups for our game. We begin with Jerry DiGregorio's Rhode Island Rams. And their backcourt is going to be important tonight, handling the aforementioned pressure. Be Tip Vincent and Zach Marbury in big roles tonight. For Skip Proctor's Xavier Musketeers, David West is having an outstanding season. 20 points last time against Rhode Island. And he's the leading rebounder in the Atlantic 10 Conference. And the officials for tonight's game, Glenn Mayborg, Mark DiSiola, and Ken Clark Jr. And here's Mo McAfee off the Lloyd Price.
Rhode Island coming out right away in man-to-man.
They go down low. Turner underneath. Draws some contact. We got a rugby scrum breaking out. Here comes Marbury. Bell gets some separation, and Marbury turns it over. Took an extra step. And in the open court, a little bit too much sauce on him. Skip Prosser, 49 years old. There's his numbers. Pittsburgh born. His given name is George. Won the 1998 A10 Tournament Championship. Rhode Island, of course, won this championship last season.
Xavier, when they get in their half-court sets, are going to be looking to pound the ball inside, not only to David West, but also to Aaron Turner, because Rhode Island is short-handed in the paint.
Buffalo with the block. David West, jump hook, won't go. They keep it alive. Boy, look at this. David West inside again, and he got it. An awkward-looking fadeaway for David West, the junior from Teaneck, New Jersey.
Certainly can't give Xavier 3 and 4 opportunities each possession to get a basket, because eventually they will score, and when they score, they put on their full court man-to-man pressure, and they like to trap out of it.
Here's Justin Henry. Turned it over. David West leading the break. Marbury almost got it. Price inside. Price won't go. Lloyd gets it back. In trouble. Back out to Darnell Williams. Down the lane. Contact. And it's a foul against Rhode Island.
No, the foul's going to go on Williams.
It is against Williams. Good call.
Darnell Williams has been much more active taking the ball to the basket over his last 8 games and has really looked like his old self.
A lot of guys on the floor in the early going here. Timeout on the floor. Xavier with a 2-0 lead.
ESPN and ESPN2, home of the
Virginia Tech a winner over Fordham. UMass knocks off Duquesne, and St. Joseph's about a half hour ago stopped LaSalle, and now we're into our game.
Monty Mack had a nice day for UMass, put up 27 points on the board, and they win over Duquesne.
And it goes, this time the ball goes out of bounds on Mo McAfee. It will be Rhode Island ball.
Well, Rhode Island is a team that is playing without Luther Clay and Tiger Womack. But they have continued to battle, even though this has been a season in which they have lost 24 games. They have not given up with 2-3 zone out of bounds under.
McAfee, good shooter from the outside, knocks you down from three-point range. He's a 37%er from there. Good pressure here by Xavier. Wapla in trouble. Vincent, he too in trouble. Wapla gets it to Tavares Bell. What a difference a year makes, Jay, with this Rhode Island ball club. Last year at this time, Lamar Odom was here. They hoped he'd be back again for another year, as for the head coach, too, Jim Harris. Preston Murphy graduated. Antonio Reynolds Dean moved on.
And those were big ones, too. Obviously, Lamar Odom, a big loss. But losing Antonio Reynolds Dean, he was really the heart and soul of this basketball team. And Preston Murphy, a great guy to have in transition, brought you senior leadership.
And there's Darnell Williams on the attack, draws the foul after the Zach Marbury miss. Henry picks up the foul.
You have to admire the way Darnell Williams has come back of late from the injury that kept him out all of last season. The nice pass by McAfee, and Williams running the court 2 years ago in 1998. Darnell Williams was as good a two-guard as perhaps there was in the entire country. Led this Xavier team in scoring that featured Lenny Brown, Gary Lumpkin, James Posey, and he was arguably their best player.
No question.
And in June, I think it was June 18th of 1998, he was over in Italy with the traveling all-star team, and he went down with an ACL injury. And he is just starting to show the form that he exhibited in 98.
11th on the all-time scoring list is Xavier.
And he scored over 1,500 points in his career.
Yep.
Just an absolute fighter out there.
He said that's one of the worst phone calls he ever got. Middle of the night. Coach Darnell just blew out his knee.
Well, they were on the bubble last season, really should have been in the NCAA tournament. But when you consider, if they had had Darnell Williams in 1999, Xavier was a top 10 team.
Right. McAfee picks up the foul, his first.
Marbury very good off the dribble, a little bit of a carry, and when you can blow by off the dribble Mo McAfee, who has got some jets, you know you can move with it. Zach Marbury learning the point guard position.
Tavares Bell and one. Foul on Darnell Williams. So on the inbounds, just a simple inbounds execution. And the Rams are on the board. Rams trying to end a 12-game losing streak.
Execution off the inbounds play, the nice little up screen, and Tavares Bell able to get down low and inside of his man, and that kind of thing will drive Skip Prosser crazy. He spends with his staff a lot of time in each scouting report going over out-of-bounds plays from underneath because he feels that's like the kicking game in football.
Gotta have it.
That can be the difference in a ballgame.
And Darnell Williams takes a seat with his second foul. Aaron Brown in the game. Number 24 for Xavier. There's David West to Turner. Short jumper. Ball go. Flying tip there. It was Lloyd Price in there. They battle for it. Henry comes out of it for Rhode Island.
Xavier getting a lot of opportunities off the offensive glass, but they're not converting.
A foul in the backcourt. They get Lloyd Price. That's his first.
Aaron Turner got the easy look along the baseline, pulled the trigger. That's something that Skip Prosser has been talking with him about. Wants him to be a little more aggressive offensively, not to go out and force shots, but not to pass them up either.
3 team fouls on Xavier, just one against Rhode Island. There's Vincent, a little pick and roll with Henry, the tight end for the football team. Henry eating alive. He goes up and gets it to fall down. Justin Henry out of McVeigh-town, Pennsylvania. 6'5" senior.
Henry's a very good rebounder, and he sticks with it. That's a good example of that. You get your shot blocked oftentimes underneath. It's the guy who shot it that's able to best get it back.
Been such a scramble for personnel for Rhode Island with the injuries. You mentioned Luther Clay, broken bone below his right eye, and a shot that goes over the top from Aaron Brown of the Rhode Island ball.
Well, there is no rest for the weary when you play against Xavier. Rhode Island, even though they are shorthanded, they're going to face this pressure all night long. Skip Prosser knows that he may give up a few easy baskets here and there because of the pressure, but he knows also that he's going to force more turnovers.
A nice block by Lloyd Price on Wapello. Loose ball kept alive. West. Break for Xavier. Inside. Lloyd Price loses. West gets past to Brown and draws the foul.
That was a nice, mature decision made by David West when he found himself with the basketball right in the middle of the lane.
Wapello picks up foul number 2. Alvin Brown to the line. Sophomore from Washington, D.C., Gonzaga High School.
Gives them a nice lift off the bench. Comes in, makes the hustle plays, does little things.
Just 67% at the line right now in the season. Not a lot of scoring here in the first 4 minutes and change here in Philly. Final game of the first round here in the Atlantic 10. tournament first round action. We get a break. Zach Marbury getting it to Wapla underneath with a block by Price.
First, we reinvented the road.
As soon as he sets that screen, there's going to be a switch. But one of the defenders does not put a body on Tavoris Bell and bump him. Bell's able to get in front and square himself to the basket. Not only get the basket and the foul. Good execution by Rhode Island. Not very good defense by Xavier.
Good look at Justin Henry, tight end on the football team. 10 catches for 121 yards this past season for the Rams. The pressure continues from Xavier. Kevin Fry working the ball right now. Marbury has it go through his hands. Oh, McAfee, a huge, just a deep three beyond the NBA line.
Not a shot that you want in that situation. After you get a turnover, you want to convert and hit the heart out of your opponent.
In and out for Marbury. McAfee comes down with the loose ball. McAfee inside, tried to get it to West. Another turnover. Marbury. Tip Vincent, waffle, pull-up jumper. Will not go. Rebound goes to McAfee.
Xavier's doing a pretty nice job of executing their offense, but that's they're just not putting shots down.
Yeah, that again, West. Brown tee it up from the outside. That won't go. Kevin Fry got bumped by Bell. So Xavier shooting 2 of 11 from the field.
Gotten a lot of stick-back opportunities that they haven't been able to convert on. Skip Rosser talking with his point guard, Mo McAfee, wondering where some of these shots are coming from that he put up a couple minutes ago, and the pass he tried to force into David West.
I'm sure that was definitely a foremost question. 2 for 11 start from a team that's 4th in the conference in shooting, just under 44%. Fry will try it. That won't go. West with the rebound, in trouble. Backs it out.
Well, one of the dangers as a coach when you come into a game like this, when Rhode Island is shorthanded, Xavier knows that they are the better team and should win this game. The players know it as well.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you don't get the good preparation.
Fry tipped by West. David West with the tip. That's it, a 9-4 Xavier lead. Henry brings it across.
So you're not going to find many better rebounders, not only in the Atlantic 10, but nationwide as a freshman than David West.
Sure.
Long arms, gigantic hands.
Which is a great age. Keep it alive. Waffalo's got it. Loses, and Williams takes over for Xavier. Got numbers against him and waits for help. Back inside, McAfee will reset. Xavier comes in having won 3 of 4, 7 of 10. And in the conference, they finished with winning 5 out of their last 7 after a 4-5 start.
Here's a look at David West with his great offensive rebounding ability. Able to follow the flight of the ball. He's got those long arms, the big hands, able to grab it. And immediately tries to get post position inside. David West averages 9 rebounds a game. He's the top offensive rebounder in the Atlantic 10, over 4 per game.
Impressive. Joe Casper on his first touch, just coming into the game. Joe, a 6'10" junior center from Leawood, Kansas. Marbury lays it up and in. That move looked pretty familiar. Coney Island, I'm sure seeing his brother Stefan used that move against Zach during the days back in Coney Island, Brooklyn.
And he's coming down on the break. He is very good with the ball. In transition, he's at his best. Where he has struggled has been in the half court and making decisions.
Rhode Island takes over. 9-6 Xavier. Look inside, nobody home. Now get it to Casper. Whoa, and there's something wet on the floor as Marbury just took a slide. Vincent backs it out. 10 on the shot clock.
Awfully difficult for Rhode Island. They don't have a threat inside. They're a lot easier to defend.
Nice lead. The conversion's good by Justin Henry from Tip Vincent. How about this? You got a 9-8 ball game. Xavier over Rhode Island. Fry Into the paint, back out. No cross-court Williams now. Williams got hit. Backs it off to Lloyd Price.
On the set play, going out of a 1-4 set, they'll cross underneath to get screens.
Darnell Williams wants it inside, gets it up and in. Vincent took a hard fall, but Darnell Williams gets on the board.
That's a powerful move. Earlier this year, Darnell Williams, coming off that injury, was really more of a jump shooter, and he's a very good shooter. But when he attacks, he's outstanding.
Casper turns it over for Rhode Island, and one of their better moments is having Zach Marbury on the attack here in Philly.
Why? Why Jake Sweeney?
Championship week presented by 7-Up, of course. And action here tomorrow from Philly. Quarterfinal number 1 at noon. It'll be Virginia Tech against the top seed Temple Owls. And Dennis Mims could be returning for Virginia Tech tomorrow. And then tomorrow night at 9:30, the winner of this game, URI or Xavier, against the Bonnies of St. Bonaventure. Tim Wynn and company. Tim Wynn leading the Bonnies with a 13.8 points per game average. ESPN.com, part of Go Network, Go.com.
And St. Bonaventure head coach Jim Barron at this ball game, scouting it out live and in person. And it has been a while since Jim's been able to scout a game and know that he's playing the winner.
That's right.
Nice feeling to have. They've done a great job all season long, he and his staff, with that basketball team. And they're in position to get a bid if they play well here.
Turner scored that last basket, and the second time we've seen a slip at this end of the floor. That time, Tavares Bell went down. 7 turnovers for Rhode Island, 3 for Xavier. That ball control graphic speaks volumes.
Well, you're playing a team like Xavier that is going to come after you and put pressure on you. You can't afford to turn the ball over.
Xavier, of course, with the signature win this year against Cincinnati in the crosstown shootout back in December. Bell almost had a steal. That was unbelievable.
Was that a brawl? What a great basketball game and a great rivalry. We talk about the rivalries, Duke, North Carolina, which is a great one, Indiana, Purdue, they're all fantastic. But Cincinnati Xavier is right there with any of them.
Absolutely. Had the pleasure during that game, and Marbury in trouble, traffic, and a breakout for Xavier the other way. McAfee's got numbers. Go for the alley-oop. A little too strong. Put back by Turner, no good. McAfee, nice pass inside, and a double dribble by Lloyd Price. We're talking to Skip Prosser the week before that game. He says, I'm telling you, you've never seen anything like it. Xavier Cincinnati. He says, there, no love lost is an understatement.
They call it the crosstown shootout, and it is everything it's advertised to be.
And what a fabulous win by Skip Prosser in that game against the Cincinnati Bearcats, who were number 1 at that time and regained number 1 spot last week. Henry, under some duress here, gets it across, looking for help.
It's exactly what Xavier wants, is to have Justin Henry handle the ball. Keep it out of the hands of their primary ball handlers, and everybody from Rhode Island running away from the ball rather than to it. See Justin Henry just trying to get it across the timeline. Aaron Turner puts such great pressure on the ball for a 6'8" guy. He's got great energy and athleticism and really does a nice job pointing their press.
Lloyd Price's shot went up over the backboard, so it will be Rhode Island ball. Xavier, 1 of 9 from 3-point range. Home run pass to Tavares Bell. Darnell Williams with 2 fouls, lets him go.
Tavares Bell has had a terrific season under very difficult circumstances. Averages about 14 points, almost 7 rebounds per game, and is second in the league in field goal percentage.
Kevin Fry, ooh, air ball. Rebounded Tavares Bell. Here's Howard Smith at the point, freshman from Killeen, Texas. Smith gets it to Tip Vincent. Vincent sets up Smith. Fry hits the deck. Tavares Bell missed. He hits the deck, and here comes Lloyd Price. Price backs it off. And they'll reset with McAfee. 9 minutes to go, first half. Fry and a runner's good. So Kevin Fry on the books with his first field goal.
And when he is offensively aggressive, this is a much better Xavier team. When Kevin Fry has scored in double figures, that's been 8 times this year. Xavier is 8-0. And he is a guy now coming off the bench since Aaron Turner has been starting. Gives them some firepower off the pine. At 29 against Central Michigan earlier this year. He can score.
Yes, he can. See Bell with the ball. Bell, Vincent, they're going to be Ironmen. They're going to have to be for Rhode Island. Vincent sets up Smith. Henry goes baseline, and they did not beat the clock.
We can take a look right here, the full court situation. Right here is Tavoris Bell. He's just going to do a little up fake and go back, and Darnell Williams doesn't get between him and the basket. Kind of like a little wide receiver defensive back play. Didn't use the 5-yard chuck.
Next thing you know, we'll have the Lester Hayes level all the duel in the forearms. Xavier's offense on the frigid side. In and out for Lloyd Price. Rebound Vincent. Or 15-10. Xavier leading, and you're on that Xavier bench right now. They're sweating this out.
Well, you know, they've settled for jump shots a little bit too much, and they've had some opportunities off offensive rebounds that they have not stuck back. That can snowball on it.
No doubt about it. Xavier shooting 6 of 23 from the field. 26%.
Now, one of the things you want to do when you're a team playing Rhode Island right now is to try to administer a knockout blow early, because Rhode Island's confidence is growing.
Well, Lloyd Price with a knockout block right there in a 5-point game. We come back to Philly in a moment. And doubleheader on Thursday. First round action. It will be Michigan against Penn State, followed by Minnesota and Iowa. In that Penn State game, Joe Crispin's their leading scorer in Iowa, led by Dean Oliver. It's coming up on Thursday, tomorrow. ESPN.com, Partigo Network, Go.com. Action from the Big Ten.
You know, Michigan coming off that drubbing by Michigan State. Lavelle Blanchard will be back for them, but they're going to have to contend with Jared Stevens, Baby Barkley in the Big Ten.
Loose ball, and Xavier comes away with it. Cross court, Price. Partially blocked. Rebound, West, he's got it.
And how about David West using the left hand?
There's that pressure from Xavier.
David West has got a tremendous upside. Looks like he's actually still growing. 7 rebounds for West thus far in the ballgame.
That's not bad coming up on the 7-minute mark.
Guy not heavily recruited out of Garner, North Carolina. The ACC took a wait-and-see attitude with him. And
Vincent gets one to fall for Rhode Island. Rams down by 5.
Tim Vincent really had his coming-out party here last year.
Yeah, remember that? He played really well. We were talking about Folks Day. No longer with the Rhode Island Rams. Big Ed Brown played well last year in the H-10 tournament. Another guy, along with some of the other members that we did mention, Antonio Renstein, Odom, Preston Murphy, and another move, fine move with the left hand by David West, who comes up hobbling. He's got 8 points.
Well, Skip Rosser calling his number. Little block-to-block screen. And Xavier screened for the screener action, and West was the first option and wide open underneath.
And West looks like he can get almost anything he wants, and the pressure is so great by Xavier that Rhode Island calls a timeout with 2 seconds left to get across court. Tomorrow in the Big East Conference on ESPN2. Here's what's coming your way. It will be Georgetown against the top seed, the Syracuse Orangemen, and then Notre Dame. Just a few minutes ago, knocked off Rutgers. They'll be in for a battle against Miami. That's tomorrow, beginning at noon on ESPN2. And then on ESPN, it'll be the Seton Hall Pirates. They knocked off Providence tonight against Connecticut. And then the Villanova-Pittsburgh winner against the Red Storm of St. John's.
And Connecticut really the one team that has given Seton Hall more problems than any other Big East team this season.
Too physical. Too physical for Seton Hall. And that has been a huge edge both games. Now we're going to tie up. Possession arrow. We'll keep the ball at this end of the court.
But last year when UConn was so dominant in the Big East, Seton Hall was the team that really gave UConn some serious problems.
No question.
For last year in the Big East tournament.
It's about a 2 3-point game.
Right down to the wire, actually, Seton Hall leading in that ball game just till the very end. And those were the kind of games that UConn was able to pull out last year. When they needed the big stop or the big basket, they were always able to get it, always seemingly in close games, but found a way to win, which is the true mark of a champion.
Bet Hamilton would get a shot. Ricky Moore would get a stop. Marbury over the top for three. And Zach Marbury, just 29% from long range. He's got 5 tonight, and he's got a 4-point game.
And you can feel that Rhode Island is confident in this game. Xavier didn't deliver a blow and knock them back on their heels at the beginning of the ball game, and now they're going to have a tough time the rest of this game. Marbury with the deep range, just a little pull-up. You have to respect his ability off the dribble, and Mo McAfee just giving him that little back step. Marbury pulling up. A lot of pressure on this young man because of his older brother, Stephon, playing in the NBA for the New Jersey Nets. Sometimes when you got an older brother that has experienced that kind of success, everybody automatically assumes you're going to follow in his footsteps.
And he wants to, too. That's the other thing, too.
Well, he sends his older brother game tapes and tries to get some advice from his NBA.
Well, one thing he's taken from his sibling, Tattoo City. Both arms, let me tell you. Tip in West. West dominating the paint here for Xavier. West with 10 points.
Well, I wonder when Stephon looks at the game tapes if he's telling him, you know, little brother, you need to pass more.
Yeah.
He's probably telling him you need to put it up more.
McAfee guarding Marbury. Here's Vincent. Vincent with Howard Smith, Casper, Wafala, and Marbury. 5 minutes to go. Marbury. Lost control. Smith, tough shot. Won't go. Keep it alive. And a breakout for Lloyd Price. Nice pass. McAfee on the hesitation and the foul. Well done.
What an adjustment in midair by Mo McAfee. Moving it from the right to the left hand. And Lloyd Price just went to another level going after that rebound. Here it is, the nice little pass. And look at the switch of hands hanging in the air by Mo McAfee. Boy, the change of pace, change of direction. I'm not sure last year as the sixth man for this team.
Oh, goodness gracious. Lloyd Price.
Well, the young man's like an elevator. He can find the next floor very easily.
10-point game just that quickly. Smith penetrates. And a blocking foul on Kevin Fry.
Well, Lloyd Price came to Xavier from Oak Hill Academy, where he played on an awfully good prep school team. And this is off of a missed free throw. You don't lay a body on Lloyd Price, and boom. That's big time.
Sure is, and he was up pretty high up near the foul line.
You know, that's something that Skip Prosser and his staff works on. They work the offensive glass off missed free throws. A couple of years ago, remember when they had Torrey Braggs? That was the spot he used to use. And he would just run right in and with his size and strength just drive everybody out of the lane.
An absolute earth mover.
And clear space for his teammates.
That's it. Justin Henry back in for Rhode Island. Howard Smith, one of several walk-ons in this Rhode Island ball club. Won't go. Fry with the rebound. So it's a 10-point game now, coming up on 4.5 to go. Rhode Island hung close for a long time. Within 4, David West. Boy, his great night continues. David West with 12 points.
And that's a pretty move. They're calling his number more and more as the season has progressed. That last play, he was pushed off the baseline, or off the low block, but still able to make a move. That's what's sometimes difficult. He's a step and a half off the low block.
Yeah.
Dribble or two, gets into position, a nice little half hook.
And a violation. 5 turnovers now. A 5-second violation by Rhode Island. 11 turnovers on the night for Rhodey. Xavier's on an 8-0 run and looking to continue. They've got a 12-point lead.
Oh, what a play.
And the foul, Darnell Williams.
That's just smart. The defense turns its back, waiting for somebody to come off a screen. You know who used to do that in the ACC? A guy named Keith Gatman.
Sure.
Played for Maryland, throws it off the back of Justin Brown, the defender. That is completely legal and a very heads-up play.
No doubt about it.
By a player I admire very much, Darnell Williams.
3-point play for Darnell. And Xavier's now doubled up Rhode Island. Brown is back in a game, and a pumped-up Darnell Williams takes a seat.
You know, that's one thing I've never ever asked anybody is, does he get an assist on that play?
Yeah, right? Here's it all.
Who gets the assist? The guy who went off his back, or...
Oh, the George Gervin finger roll from Tavares Bell. He's got 6. Oh, does that bring back memories from about 15 feet? The old finger roll from Iceman.
Poor Tavares Bell. If only he were an athlete, huh?
Yeah, right?
That guy can really get up in the air. Nice
look
play.
Inside fly, can't get the flush. He's fouled by Henry.
You know, that was a great look by Mo McAfee because he looked for the screener instead of the guy coming off of the screen. Kevin Fry was the guy setting the screen.
Take a look at this
himself
finger
wide
roll.
open.
This is special, folks.
Rising up and just going up and under the defender, David West. And that is a pretty finish. Tavares Bell, a guy who in high school on a dare once jumped over a car to dunk a basketball.
I've read that, and I've seen guys do that. Those hoop it up contests. That ain't easy.
Absolutely not.
That ain't easy. That is some serious, serious hops to do something like that, to jump over a car.
And that becomes like a fish story after a while. It starts out as a car, it might have been a convertible, and then later on it becomes a minivan.
That's right, and then a Sherman tank.
I'll tell you what, when he's about 40 years old, that's going to be a semi.
Yeah, he will have been in some of those Cannonball Run movies, right?
The older I get, the better I used to be.
That's it. He's Bell outside. Started by Lloyd Price. A lot of quicks on quick. And he makes it fall.
Well, I'll tell you, everybody knew he was going to drive to the basket, and he made it anyway. Tavares Bell has had an awfully good year this season. Great defender, and his offensive game really starting to come around.
Having a good one tonight. 4 or 5, 8 points. Deep corner right now with West. Tempo's picked up here. Lloyd Price wheeling off the glass, won't go. Vincent underneath. West kept it alive. And here comes Marbury.
Boy, West showing some hands just to get a finger on that ball.
Tough shot by Marbury, draws contact. And it's interesting, Zach Marbury has that exact same change of pace stutter move that his older brother uses, where he lulls you and then explodes on that third dribble. Here it is, low and then go by.
Nice little hesitation move, and he understands what's going on out there when he's in a full court game. He's doing a better job in the half court when he's breaking pressure of making decisions. And in part, he has had some problems because he has not had a full complement of players.
38-year-old Jerry DiGregorio. Congratulations to Jerry. Recently engaged Linda Nedwedick, dad's former phys ed teacher in Rhode Island.
But when you got 24 losses and she says yes, you know she loves you.
Oh, no question about that. Lamar Odom said, I guess I'm no longer your #1 recruit. And Jerry said that definitely has made the year worthwhile. They've learned a lot. It has been tough. They said this will never happen again. West underneath, getting everything he wants and more. David West with 14 points.
Second time Rody's got burned on that little back pick on the weak side.
West shooting 7 of 9. They double team Marbury. Marbury got away with the old hook. Vincent guarded by McAfee. They look for Marbury, and we got a foul against Rhode Island. And it's against Wafula. And against Wafula, that is his 4th foul, and here we are with just 2:16 to go, first half.
And Jerry DiGregorio can't really afford to lose Wafula this early because of the rebounding that he brings. He can rebound, block shots, very active, and Wafula has only been playing basketball for about 8 years. Came from Uganda and still learning the game. One of the things you have to learn is picking up cheap ones. They're going to make you sit out.
Sends Alvin Brown to the line. Back rims it. Rebound, Lloyd Price. Fry had it knocked out of his hand by Bell. We'll take a timeout. 2:10 to go, first half, 13-point Xavier lead. Looks like Marbury and the Rhode Island Rams, they've had their most half here in Philadelphia. Tyrone Hill, one of the greats, the all-time greats at Xavier. Remember the Philadelphia 76ers? Out of action right now. Tyrone Hill with 261 freshman rebounds. Not too bad. David West has recently passed him.
And that's pretty select company to be in. Brian Grant, one of the better power forwards in the National Basketball Association right now. And David West having an awfully good first half. 8 rebounds, 7 of those on the offensive end. And after missing his first 2 shots, he's canned his next 6.
Here's the guy that Rhode Island's got to figure out how to stop. They've got Casper on him right now. Here's West, face-up jumper, won't go. They battle to keep it alive. Alvin Brown, let's see, cannot save it. It will be Rhode Island ball.
This is a well-drilled Xavier team. They look at all the options for each play that they run. They make good reads. And but for a drought that they had in early January when they lost 4 games in a row and really had some trouble scoring. Now, this is an NCAA tournament team. And they are going to be right there in the discussion. The question is going to be whether if they can win tonight and play well against St. Bonaventure, whether 20-21 wins is going to be enough.
That's right. Talking to Skip Prosser, he said, hey, we're pretty happy to be 1 win shy of where we were last year. Coming up at halftime, the 7-up halftime report. Coming up, I'll look at one more ticket holder. The madness, of course, continues, and got a conference upside down. Reese Davis will have all that information coming up your way at halftime. Skip Prosser saying, who would have thought we'd have 19 wins here with Posey gone and Brown and Lumpkin, big trio from last year's ball club.
And they also lost a couple of recruits, David Young and Lionel Chalmers, unavailable this season.
West misses the free throw. Goes out of bounds on Xavier. So Rhode Island inbounds, and it's been a nightmare. It's almost like playing 7-on-5. That's how effective the Xavier press has been. Marbury goes down again.
Everything for Rhode Island has been off the dribble, hasn't it?
Sure enough. And Henry can't save that.
One thing about this Rhode Island team, as you take a look at Jerry DiGregorio, it's been pretty resilient all season long. Not much has gone right. And as a coach, I know you want your players to feel the hurt of losing. But at the same time, Jerry and his staff have to be pretty proud of the way they have bounced back from game to game to give good effort.
Underneath, West double team as we come under a minute to go. McAfee with Fry. Fry, spinner in the lane. A little short, tip no good. West keeps it alive. And a breakout for Bell. Bell into the lane. Flip shot, count it.
That's the second time in transition. The first time was with Zach Marbury, where Mo McAfee's kind of gotten caught back on his heels. When you are the last guy back, you got to fake it the man to make him change his pace a little bit instead of just standing there waiting for that charge. Ultimately, you want to step in and take the charge, but when you're coming back in transition defense, you can't just run back to the spot.
Good numbers for Tavares Bell here in the first half. Back rim, Casper keeps it alive, but Brown takes over. The last foul was on Brown, his first. 17 fouls for Xavier, 9 for Rhode Island. And Cutter couldn't get it. West ends up with it. Jump hook won't go. Fry over the back. His second.
After the first one was missed, that was a freshman mistake. That's one where you get the initial rebound, bring it back out. Ball goes inside. Here's the second shot, and Fry going over the back. But once David West got that rebound, that's one to send on back out.
Free throw number 1 of 6, 4-10.
Not going to win a QB doll shooting like that.
No way. And these rims are regulation size, too. I used to hate that as a kid. You go to those fairs. Hey, let me shoot. Hey, kid. Hey, kid. Them ribs are a little bit small, eh?
I'm still trying to get that ring around the bottle.
Yeah, really. Final 15 seconds. Brown. McAfee. Mo checks the clock. He's under 10 now. Fry to Mo McAfee. That's a deep hoist air ball. And 0.2 of a second to go. And that'll do it for this first half. Let's see. 7-Up halftime report is next, Bruce Davis. So 0.2 of a second. Let's see if they can get something out of this. They didn't even try. Okay. Well, here at halftime, 33-20.
ESPN2's presentation of Championship Week, presented by 7-Up, is brought to you by the men and women of General Motors, whose commitment to quality brings you outstanding cars and trucks.
Good look at Liberty Center here in Philadelphia, scene of the Atlantic 10 tournament. We're at halftime. Musketeers with a 33-22 lead over the Rhode Island Rams. Dave Sims and Jay Billis with you, and Xavier sort of disinterested in the first early minutes of the game, but then they go on an 11-0 run led by David West.
And the big reason was offensive rebounding. David West was brilliant in the first half. He had 9 rebounds, 8 of them offensive. He put up 14 points in the first half, and nobody blocked him out. And when you don't block out the best rebounder in the Atlantic 10, he's going to go up and clean the glass. Offensively, he was solid as well with a nice little jump hook for 2 of his 14. And Tavares Bell on the other end was just as spectacular. 10 points in the first half for Rhode Island, most of them in transition. He was 5 for 6.
And that is easily my favorite play of the games I've seen today, the finger roll by Tavares Bell in traffic.
Rhode Island has to do a much better job at taking care of the ball in the second half. They had 14 turnovers in the first half.
Yes, indeed. Alley-oop. Price from West. Last time these two clubs met, Jan 9, 78-75 up in Providence at the Civic Center. Xavier was a winner. Marbury had it blocked, and another run out by Xavier. Skip Prosser came over before the game, and as West turns it over. Skip Prosser said, hey, the last time we played, we didn't guard the perimeter. We turned it over, and they had a shot to win it at the buzzer. Well, it's certainly been a different story here through the first half. Look at rebounds, offensive rebounds. Look at that, 13-3 Xavier, and then second chance points, 12-2.
Rhode Island shooting the ball well when they can get a shot up, shooting
Right.
50% from the field because they're putting the ball on the floor and attacking the basket. But those 14 turnovers have just killed the Rams in that first half. And the primary reason why they're down by 13. It's that and the offensive glass.
And that went off set of hands. Let's keep it right here. Mr. West, very productive, 7 of 12. 8 offensive rebounds. My goodness.
It's awfully nice when you hit your average in the first half.
Right.
Then everything's gravy after that.
Darnell Williams with a great look at it. He's fired up. Nails a 3. 38-22. Darnell's got 9.
I got a pretty good idea that Skip Prosser gave a good motivational speech at halftime.
Guarantee it wasn't in gentle tones, I'll tell you that.
You know, one of the great teachers in my judgment in college basketball, Skip Prosser. His favorite time of his workday is 3 to 6 in the afternoon, and he gets to hit the gym floor and teach.
Marbury way over the top. Front rim. Can't get a roll. Rebound Lloyd Price. And Lloyd turns it over.
Just off the out-of-bounds play, the nice little screen by Aaron Turner. And really just a quick flare move out to the wing, and Darnell Williams ready to shoot it. And he is a guy that's always been able to put it up from 3. But when he is attacking the basket off the dribble and in transition, he's a pro.
Lloyd Price just picked up a foul, his second.
Lloyd Price is getting better and better. Skip Prosser very pleased with the way Price's game has matured, making better decisions on when to pull up, when to pitch it out.
Just a sophomore. I tell you what, next year, I think it's safe to say we could look for him to be a combination of Darnell Williams 2 years ago and James Posey the last couple of years.
I think that's a good call. And they're also going to get a new recruit out of Dayton, Ohio, named Romain Gasabasado, who is a Scottie Pippen-like performer.
It's pretty scary.
Well, after their last ball game, when they beat St. Joe's, there was a highlight film of Sato in their locker room that they were taking a look at. And the guys came out shaking their heads, talking about how good he was. And the guy that's going to the free throw line right now, Tavoris Bell, is starting to make a name for himself in the Atlantic 10. One of the better defenders in the conference. He can guard anyone from a point guard to a power forward. And his offensive game starting to develop as well.
And he's just a sophomore. Three-point play for him. Bell, 13 points and 6 of 7 shooting. And that last foul was against Lloyd Price, his third. Here's West up top. For McAfee. There's the screen for the screener. Darnell Williams with the release got knocked down. Easy rebound, David West. He got hit. He'll shoot a couple.
You know, it's really uncanny how David West is always around the basketball. Sometimes it seems to just fall into his hands, but that's no accident. You can see Williams coming off the screen set by David West, and West immediately goes to the glass. He's always around the ball. It came off the fingers of Aaron Turner.
I was laughing because he also got away with that very subtle push in the back.
Hey, that's part of good rebound.
And the other thing, too, that's very impressive is to amplify your point. He's not a big jumper. I mean, He's not a huge jumper at all. It's all about timing, and then go back to what you said about the long arms and the huge hands.
He's a good athlete, but doesn't overpower you with his athleticism. One thing that's impressive about David West is you can tell that he's willing to learn, that he works on his game and he listens, because he has been improving from the first day he got to Xavier.
16 and 10 for David West right now. Underneath, a little bit too far. Boy, Bell's not one of the few people who can save that one. Now he turns it over. Aaron Price gets it to Price. Lloyd with the turnaround, and Aaron Turner with the putback. They're going to wipe it off. Climbing up somebody's back. Coming up this Sunday, defending champion Jeff Gordon faces Daytona 500 winner Dale Jarrett at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. The Cracker Barrel Old Country Store 500 is live this Sunday at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. NASCAR on ABC Sports.
Gordon was running a little loose out of turn 4 in the last race, wasn't he?
But I tell you, he was able to really get down low a lot and be more effective that way, too. Car turned over nicely.
Rubbin is racing.
I got a kick out of listening to the guys. Was it the big race a couple of weeks ago? And there's so many restrictions. He said, "This isn't racing, folks."
Nice fade.
Casper with the lefty jump hook. Joe Casper, Blue Valley North High School. He's out of Johnson County Community College, out of Kansas. Darnell Williams against Tip Vincent. 40-27 Xavier. Almost 3.5 in here in the second half. Get it over to Lloyd Price. Maybe just taking his time executing right now. McAfee over the top won't go. And Price out hustles Rhode Island for that rebound. Turns it over. Lloyd's turned it over a bunch tonight.
Trying to make something out of nothing. That's when you pull it back out.
Henry. They get him on a late call on the slide. He did travel. And for Rhode Island, just another frustrating moment. How about this? No team has advanced from the first round of play in the title game. So, a daunting situation in front of the Xavier Musketeers. They just brought in Brandon McIntosh. Brandon will be the one wearing the mask, face mask. Aaron Turner is going to pull his way in, and they call the foul on Casper. His third. About the 15:55 mark, Xavier continuing to exert its control here. Today, you see Villanova leading Pittsburgh at the half by 1. Action coming up from New York City tomorrow in the quarterfinals. Some good matchups. Georgetown, Syracuse, Seton Hall against Connecticut. Notre Dame, Miami should be a good one. And the Villanova Pitt winner against St. John's.
Jake Bosco coming off a terrific game today, 16 and 11 for him. And again, Mo McAfee looking for the screener rather than the person coming off the screen. He has made a lot of mature decisions.
Another slide. That's the third time tonight a Rhode Island player has slid. Do have ice underneath here.
And it was 75 degrees here in Philly today.
I'm telling you, that was wild.
Boy, that's a great look by Mo McAfee. That's a mature decision. Instead of having tunnel vision on the person coming off the screen, he is able to look at the screener who is oftentimes open.
Darnell Williams pops free. Baseline jumper, no. Easy rebound for Vincent.
And if he followed his shot, Williams might have had a layup.
No question. Marbury, deep hoist. Got it. Zach Marbury on the night with 9 points. He's got 2 threes.
You know, he can put points on the board. Nice pass.
David West. Look out. You would think by now they would have recognized number 30. He is wide open a lot, and the guys are doing a good job finding him.
Stephon Marbury, as he comes down court, you're so worried about him blowing by you off the dribble that Mo McAfee has got to get up there and get in his grill, make him put the ball on the floor.
Fourth foul on Casper. West can't get the first one. 3 team fouls apiece here in the second half.
Casper not looking too friendly.
You're going way back to the vault. I actually remember that. Brother, how many floors did you have to go down before you got to that one? 43-30, Xavier. Waffle is back in. Picked up 4 fouls in the first half.
Nice job by Marbury to come back and get the ball.
Marbury with some room. Tries to penetrate, draws a foul. They get Fry for the foul, his third.
Everybody running away from Zach Marbury. There was a switch. Darnell Williams trying to get back to his man, but one of the cardinal rules, when you switch off, you never leave the ball. That's what Darnell Williams did, and one of the big reasons Marbury was able to get so easily to the basket.
Marbury, the leading scorer, coming into tonight's game for the Rhode Island Rams. Been battling foot problems the last few weeks. Had to sit out last season, declared ineligible right before the start of the season.
And that forced Tip Vincent into action. Vincent was planned on being redshirted last year so he could develop a little bit more, but performed very well as a freshman. Point guard duties. They tried to slide Preston Murphy over, and Murphy was injured for a good part of the early season.
Well, this young man had a real solid career. Preston Murphy of Rhode Island. Nice steal by Bell. Ahead to Marbury. Waits for the traffic to pass.
Now, one thing that Zach Marbury has been working on is his handle. He's faced an awful lot of pressure, people coming after him. He's done a pretty good job with it.
It's inside, has it sent back. West takes over. Alley-oop attempt, and a little bit too much for McIntyre. Skip Prosser across the way. We can hear him all the way. That was not a great possession with the ball, guys.
Nice head and shoulder fake to get around. Looked like he got fouled not once but twice.
Second time we've had that moving violation on the inbounds.
Well, you wonder if that's Justin Brown or if the official failed to tell him it was a spot throw-in. But you find out pretty quick.
Sure do. Lloyd Price. Turnover numbers. Not pretty for Rhode Island. Rhode Island's last in turnover margin and in assist turnover ratio in the Atlantic 10. Fry. Inside, McAfee back up top with 9 on the shot clock. Mo fire from there. Banks at home. Oh, McAfee with a triple. He's got 8 points. 46-31. The Xavier pressure continues.
Well, you wonder how long Xavier's going to keep the pressure on, because there is the element of having to play 4 in 4 days.
Sure enough.
But this is just the way Xavier plays. I don't expect Skip Prosser to back off until this game would be way out of reach.
Vincent shot an air ball. Bell's underneath. He got it up and in.
Well, nice finish, too, because that ball got knocked away, and there was a piece of ball and piece of arm taken.
15 for Tavares Bell. Winner of tonight's game plays St. Bonaventure tomorrow night. We'll have that game for you. 9:30 Eastern time.
And if Xavier were to win this game and the seeds hold up, they would take on St. Bonnie tomorrow, then would play Dayton with a chance to face Temple in the final. And to have to play the number 2 and then the number 1 team in the Atlantic 10 back-to-back after having played 2 games before that, that's an awfully difficult task.
Yes, it is. Temple in action tomorrow. We'll have that for you. Noontime start against Virginia Tech. Marbury, the blow-by, got inside. Price rebound.
So he just had McAfee all twisted up.
And Mo takes it back the other way. And can't put it in, and it went off the foot of Aaron Turner. Skip Prosser on the sideline agonizing as if he were down by 13 points instead of being up.
Little ball fake. McAfee trying to put it up with the left hand. Just didn't get enough juice on it to get it over the rim.
Vincent against McAfee. McAfee takes it away. Fry. He'll take it himself. Finger roll won't go. And Bell back the other way. Darnell Williams was set on the right side looking for some help. Marbury off the glass and in from Bell.
Yeah, that was a play where Fry should have given it up a little bit earlier, and they paid for it with a basket on the other end. As often happens when you make a mistake on one end, you're going to pay for it on the other.
Not surprisingly, Skip Prosser calls the timeout. Jerry DiGregorio and company at the 12:01 mark. Down 46-35.
Tavares Bell pushing the ball up the court, giving it off to Marbury, running the right side, and that was picture perfect on the fast break. Make them stop the ball if they don't give it up.
Championship week presented by 7-Up continues with an ACC action tomorrow. Part of a doubleheader. Florida State takes on Georgia Tech. And then to the Mountain West tournament in the quarterfinal round, it will be UNLV against San Diego State. That game coming from UNLV's Thomas Mack Center. That's all coming up tomorrow on ESPN, ESPN.com, part of the network, go.com.
And that is the game UNLV has to have against San Diego State if they want to keep any hope alive of getting an at-large bid.
Sunday's going to be wild watching the selections come in.
So there's going to be a lot of good arguments in that hotel suite in Kansas City, or in Indianapolis now.
Heck of a ball. How about McAfee got it back? Goodness gracious. Turner, Wafala, he's done it. That's his 5th.
Nice hustle play by Mo McAfee. Going on the floor for the ball. And isn't it funny how the only guy that got on the floor wound up coming up with it, and Aaron Turner does a nice job of staying squared to the basket. And that's the main reason he was able to pick up that foul against Wafala. The last time we had Rhode Island for a ball game, it was Wafula.
That's right. Remember,
he changed it's always been Wafula, but he said he was pronouncing it Wafula so that everyone would spell it correctly.
so at least we got the play right. His name is Wafala, as in Belgian. Had some good moments in the first half. Picked up too many fouls and a couple of cheapies. Atlantic 10 action. As we mentioned, we'll have the Temple Virginia Tech game, and that'll be followed by UMass and George Washington. Dayton against St. Joseph's. And then we're back on ESPN2 with our winner tonight against St. Bonaventure, and that will be an important contest. It's interesting. We were talking about the change in personnel with both of these clubs, and how about the league? I mean, a couple of years ago, we were looking at 4 and 5 clubs, NCAA bound, and this year, you figure obviously Temple's a lot.
Well, 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, there were 5 teams that came out of the Atlantic 10. Last year it was 3, and this year it could be 2. But I think there are more tournament-eligible teams, so it'll be an interesting argument to see if St. Bonaventure or Xavier can get in.
11:39 to go. We get a timeout. 48-35, and Mo McAfee did a lot right on this. The only Xavier fan came all the way in from Cincinnati. Boy, I tell you what, this is a surprise as you look at this list. It's hard to believe that Temple has not won this tournament since 1990.
Yeah, that's right. 1990. It's been almost 10 years. And if this isn't the year that Temple can walk away with the crown, I don't know what would be. But you take a look at that long list. 1996, UMass went to the Final Four. And remember that St. Joe's team in 97? Rasheed Bey, Terrell Myers. That was a terrific team.
Was it Yad Davis was on that? Last we heard of him.
He was a freshman and declared for the draft the next year after sitting out.
Got a legal problem that got arrested down here in Philly. That 3 was good by Vincent. He's got 5. Fry, Brown, Turner, McAfee, and Price on the floor right now for Xavier.
Xavier trying to spread the floor, pass and cut.
7-2 run by Rhode Island. McAfee gets by Marbury. And a foul on Zach. The men's tournament selection special comes up Sunday at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN. It's hosted by Chris Fowler. You'll see Dick Vitale, Digger Phelps, Quinn Buckner. They're going to provide insight and analysis of the 64 teams who will compete for the NCAA National Championship. Plus, Michelle Tafoya is going to report live from Indianapolis where the committee meets to determine all of the teams. ESPN.com, part of Show Network, Go.com. McAfee studies from up top and hits.
When Mo McAfee gets his feet set, he can really drill it. You have got to get out and make him put the ball on the floor and shoot on the move.
11 points from Mo. He's got 3 threes.
He's been a real Iron Man for this team. 35 minutes a game. He's the guy you might worry about the most in a 4-game scenario because he's got to not only put pressure on the ball and avoid fouls, but he's going to have to play near 40 minutes of ball game.
Second foul on Maurice, and this continues at its current trend. And Xavier were to go on a win, he'd be facing Tim Wynn tomorrow night from St. Bonaventure.
We'll talk about a guy that's got jets, and there might not be a better on-the-ball defender in the Atlantic 10 than Tim Wynn. Great quickness. But remember when St. Bonaventure had Shandu McNeil
and Tim Wynn
in the lineup?
A couple of years ago, sure.
Talk about 2 guys that you had to get on all 4s to look eye to eye, yet they could take the ball from you in a heartbeat. And they're so good with backflow. You get past them and they come back and back tip it away from you.
14 for Marbury. 51-40. Gotta give Rhode Island a lot of credit to be down just 11 here. Backdoor cut. McAfee lays it up, blows it. Turner comes away with the loose ball, and they get him for a traveling violation.
Skip Prosser right now taking off the press. They're going to play him a little bit more half court.
A little energy conservation here, you think?
It's got to be. It's got to be.
10 minutes to go in the ball game. Henry finds Marbury for the jumper. It's good for Zach Marbury. Starting to feel pretty good about himself. He's got 16 points. That leads Rhode Island. West with a game-high 19 for Xavier.
Not only energy conservation, but also to give a different look to Rhode Island.
Darnell Williams had a long look at it, couldn't knock it down.
Well, Xavier has been a little loose with the basketball, and this is just a 9-point game. You can see Marbury just standing there waiting for the ball to get to him. Nice rhythm when he catches it. Not a hand in his face. And any good player that gets an open look at the basket is going to drill it. And Zach Marbury is certainly a good player.
55%, and there's McAfee again. Mo McAfee with his fourth three of the night. He's got 14 points, and 3 of those threes here in the second half. .9:28 to go. 54-42. And coming up tomorrow, we will have Championship Week presented by 7-Up, continuing from right here in Philly. Virginia Tech against number 7 Temple. First time the Owls will take the court in the 8-10. And then our winner tonight takes on St. Bonaventure. We'll have that for you at 9:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2. All coming your way from Philadelphia tomorrow. ESPN.com, Partico Network, Go.com.
Well, St. Bonaventure has had a remarkable season. Jim Barron and his staff have done such a good job with that team. Really, one of the big differences in that team has been the play of Peter Van Possen.
Got a lot stronger during the offseason.
Really did. More offensive-minded, attacking more and more aggressive. And he's added a nice dimension to that team. Last year it was all Wynn and Caswell Cyrus.
Good. Now with that inside presence, Cyrus, Marbury, fade away. Turner from the cross-court pass, and they get a blocking foul on Tavares Bell. Stopping the clock at 9:01 to go. And a 12-point lead for Xavier.
This has been a real struggle for Xavier. They've tried to get things in transition, and not sure about that call, just moving a little bit. And it's been a Skip Prosser trying to get some rhythm for his team offensively. They're unable to get enough points on the board.
McAfee, no, and rebound Bell. 16 fouls for Rhode, 5 for Xavier.
Xavier could easily have 70 points right now.
No question. You can bet the house that is a prime concern. Mr. Prosser, who knows that as well as anybody, to try to get it inside, and a whistle on the play, and a foul against McAfee. Check that. They get it on Turner. His second.
Out on the perimeter, moving the ball from side to side, and a nice feed inside. Turner getting caught on the high side, unable to get around in front and knock it away. And there are some times in post defense where you got to break contact and get around front. Other times when you know you can't, so you're going to have to just play him from behind. That was a time to stay behind and make the man make a move.
Howard Smith in the game, number 55 for Rhode Island. There he is with the ball. They go down low. Bell won't get it. A foul is on David West. His second.
Good help by David West to get over there. But he just broke that plane of verticality, brought that arm down. Whenever you do that, 9 times out of 10, when that P vibrates in the whistle, it's going to be on you.
There's Tavares Bell having a good night. Shooting well. 7 of 8. 15 points, 6 rebounds.
They really compete hard, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
You know, in a year when a kid could hang his head, 5 and 24, 2 and 14 in the Atlantic 10 East. Tavares Bell has come to play every ball game.
Jerry DiGregorio's last win was on January 18th. They knocked off Duquesne 68-56. That was 3 days after beating LaSalle and Philly. So that was the best stretch they had this season.
And Jerry learning the rigors of being a head coach, and he's had a nice boost this year from having Jeff Jones on his staff. Jeff, a former head coach at Virginia, an outstanding basketball coach, and really needs to be back, to me, at least in my judgment, in the head coaching rank.
The other thing, too, is Darnell Williams shoots over the top and hits the 3. So Darnell Williams, he's got 12, 2 threes tonight. The other thing, keep in mind, too, Rhode Island, with all the personnel losses, they lost 4 kids in the recruiting process who are now Division I starters during that down period when Jim Herrick decided to go to Georgia. He came back and then went back to Georgia. Then there was some downtime before they finally named DiGregorio the head coach.
Yeah, the situation could have been handled a little bit better.
Bell. Look out. Oh, man. He explosive for what? Tavares Bell. 18 points.
Well, it did not faze him at all that Mo McAfee was right underneath.
He knew he was going to elevate. 57-45. A lot closer than many would have expected at this point in the game. 7 minutes to go. Lloyd Price creates some contact and a turnover. Zach Marbury. Leave it for Howard Smith. That was blocked by Darnell Williams. Back the other way.
Well, it's nice to see Darnell Williams so active.
No hesitation at all. Earlier in the season, he was still trying to find himself. He had some big moments in that Cincinnati game.
I think a lot of it's been confidence. He did have a terrific first half, especially scored all 16 of his points in the first half.
Right.
But I think a lot of it's confidence. You know, so many people say, well, it takes a year to come back from that ACL injury, year and a half, 2 years. And, well, every guy is different. And it's a big mental hurdle to get over, especially when you are so athletic and so explosive as Williams. And he is getting back to his old self. And he will get a look from an NBA team. He'll be in Portsmouth at the Portsmouth Invitation.
Marbury goes glass, converting off the third straight Xavier turnover. 18 for Zach, 18 for Bell. How about this? It's a 10-point game.
Well, you know, it's a 10-point spread, but it's a game where it's not.
Oh, there's Darnell Williams shaking free. There's a blown defensive assignment.
You know, this game has never seemed in doubt, even from the opening tip.
Right.
That's one thing, you know, it's in the minds of the players. And as a coach, you want your players to fight through that and not worry about so much winning the game as much as playing each possession. If you play each possession, winning the game takes care of itself.
Marbury created a lot of contact with that drive to the basket. 5:33 to go. We get the foul on Price, his fourth.
You know, there are times when you can get a quote-unquote easy win and have it shake your confidence.
Rhodey's done on offense tonight, led by Bell and Marbury.
I think Zach Marbury's a little worn out, having to carry a major load without Luther Clay or Tiger Womack.
The response is that a Baldwin or Steinway piano he's carrying on his back?
Well, you can see the difference in the way Marbury.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, you can see the difference in the way Marbury is able to handle the fatigue as a freshman and the way Tavares Bell is.
All right, Price takes a seat. Marbury backed off and just looked around and just said, ooh, not good. This time, Marbury gets the rim, but misses it nonetheless.
I'll tell you, Zach Marbury is going to be a good player. He's a good player now on the all-rookie team for the Atlantic 10, but he will be a good player nationally, but still needs to work on his game and refine it.
We're going to see how strong he is, how much stronger he is when he comes back next year.
Well, that's when a lot of progress is made between your freshman and sophomore years. Skip Prosser actually thinks that is the most important time in a basketball player's college career.
McAfee under duress shoots an air ball. And we've got a timeout on the floor. We're under 5 minutes to go. 4:57 to go. And Howard Smith leading at the Tavares Bell. And Bell, no sweat as he gets up top on McAfee for the jam. Take a pretty good account of itself. And Mo McAfee, though, has been a big star for Xavier tonight.
14 points. Here's a scouting report. Don't let him shoot it from the top of the key. Mo McAfee, 4 of 10 from 3, but 3 of his 4 threes have come from that very spot right above that top of the key area.
He's laid claim to that particular piece of real estate.
And one similar theme of all 3 of those shots is he had his feet set and had plenty of time.
Howard Smith in trouble. Smith inside. A little short. Brown rebounds for Xavier.
Now, Rhode Island shooting 53% in this ballgame. The difference has been they have turned it over and they've allowed Xavier way too many offensive rebounds.
A feast on the offensive glass. Darnell Williams up top, short, loose ball. Vincent comes away with it.
There was one to shot fake and take it by him.
Marbury, nice spin inside off the glass. Zach Marbury, he's got 20. 10-point game again.
Very talented off the dribble. Can find openings. Got a good handle.
Marbury with 14 of his points here in the second half. For a 5 in 2014, 2 of 14 in the conference. Rhode Island club we talked about earlier does play hard here. David West, first score in a long time. West with 21.
Well, Rhodey's got fighting. Marbury, who had 33 earlier in the year against San Francisco and 25 against St. Bonaventure. And that kind of groove tonight.
Back to Marbury. Screen from Henry. A little bit too much, but luckily Smith was there.
Well, that was a decision. What was Henry going to do with it?
Yeah. Coming up on 3 minutes to go. 8 on the shot clock. Smith, deep corner, fires in and out. A rebound to Kevin Fry. Clock winding down. Xavier leading 61-49, under 3 to play.
Xavier trying to run a little bit of clock on the set play.
McAfee to West. Isolation. West wheels, jump hook, short, rebound Henry. Taken away by Brown. Back to West. West lays it up, count it. Foul on Marbury.
That's all.
David West with 23, Jake.
And that's all about finishing plays, Dave. A good defensive exchange. Henry comes up with the ball and gets it knocked away from behind. Trying to take it the other way and not strong with the ball. And all of a sudden you're giving up 3 instead of going your way. What a find David West was for Xavier. At the Hargrave Military Academy. Played with another pretty good player at Wake Forest named Josh Howard, who is an outstanding athlete. Both these young men have a tremendous amount of upside.
Got a timeout on the floor, 2:39 to go in the ball game. 64-49. Skip brought to you in Xavier.
BN2's presentation of Championship Week is presented by 7-Up and your local 7-Up bottler. Make 7-Up yours. And in part by Rogaine Extra Strength for Men.
Dave Sims, Jay Billis with you here in Philadelphia. 64-49 Xavier. David West with a new career high, 24 points. 10 of 16 shooting. He's got 11 rebounds. Big factor in this game tonight for the Musketeers.
And David West likes to see Rhode Island. A great game against them earlier this year when he had 20 points, 14 boards. Much like light blue.
Tip Vincent turns it over. And then Brown turns it over. Marbury, and he's fouled by Brown.
A few loose decisions on the floor for Xavier tonight, not only offensively, but defensively as well, as you take a look at, my opinion, one of the finest coaches in America, and a guy whose name comes up with a lot of job openings. Skip Rosser already being mentioned at Georgia Tech and some other openings, and when asked about it, he says rather emphatically that thought has not entered his cranium for a millisecond. That he is interested only in coaching his team, and all other inquiries can be made after the season, if at all.
Well, he certainly had a great run at Xavier, 6 years as head coach, and he was Pete Gillen's assistant from 85 to 93.
Well, he does it the right way. Coached in high school at Wheeling Catholic, or Central Catholic in Wheeling, West Virginia. And told me once that he used to drive all night to watch Dean Smith in Chapel Hill run a practice, then he'd drive the 8 miles to Duke and watch Mike Krzyzewski run one of his to learn the game. And he met Pete Gillen at basketball camps during the summer, forged a relationship which started his college coaching career.
Great move by Alvin Brown to get free. Marbury right back the other way. Count that. Jack Marbury. Little Coney Island flavor going hard to the hole. 2:04 to go. Marbury with 24. Take a look at the Atlantic 10 all-rookie team, and some good choices here.
Well, not only Val Brown, who is the second leading scorer in the nation, but Brian Chase, who we will see tomorrow, An outstanding smaller guard for Virginia Tech. Brooks Hall has done a great job for Oliver Purnell at Dayton.
Chris Monroe, the power guard from George Washington.
Monroe, a heck of an offensive rebounder.
Let's revisit the 1999 A-10 championship game between Rhode Island and Temple. Under a minute and a half to play, Mark Karcher is going to hit a three, put Temple up by 2, 59-57. Then less than a minute to go, Antonio Reynolds-Dean ties the game with the tip-in, 59 all. And then this big, historic shot by Lamar Odom hits the winner. 62-59 win for the Rams.
And without that shot by Lamar Odom, Rhode Island was headed for the NIT last year. That's what got him in with the automatic bid.
And that's pretty much everything you want to know about Xavier in the E-10 tournament.
I'll tell you what, Skip Rosser would like to have another shot at him because that means they would be in the A-10 tournament final. And this Xavier team is capable of making it.
McAfee finds himself free, sent back, plus the foul from Tavares Bell. 1:52 to go. 66-54. Maurice McAfee has had a strong game. He's got 14 points, 3 threes.
But, you know, because Xavier has not been able to put away Rhode Island, there has really been no rest for McAfee or his teammates because Skip Rosser can't afford to take him out.
We talked about this a few minutes ago. Factor that into tomorrow night when they have to take on St. Bonaventure, which will have scouted these guys pretty well, obviously, and they will be taking the court for the first time this week.
Oh, no.
And another foul. Don't forget, coming up next, NHL Tonight, John Buccigross, Barry Melrose will have all the hockey action for you, chock full of highlights, analysis, and a whole lot more. Hockey show for hockey fans. All the day's highlights and news of the NHL as well as special features. It's, of course, the former home of the Philadelphia Flyers here at the First Union Spectrum. They play a few hundred yards south of here at the First Union Center. Missed by Brown, but Jay, that fatigue factor tomorrow night is going to be interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, anytime you have to play in a tournament atmosphere, you don't get much time to prepare from game to game. Fatigue becomes a factor. Even in a 3-game tournament. But having to play 4, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to win 4 games in a row.
Well, Skip Rosser and the Xavier Musketeers back on March 1st. They lost at St. Bonaventure 65-64.
And they had 4 shots at a win in the last 10 seconds. 3 stickbacks within close range and just could not get it to go. And Skip Rosser, as the buzzer went off, the cameras found him and he had a look of utter disbelief on his face. Skip Rosser, a guy who's got it all in perspective.
Zell does not get his 20th point of the night. He does, however, give the foul to Kevin Fry. 10th team foul for Rhodey, and Bell is done for the evening. 5 fouls. Finishes with 19 points and 7 rebounds.
One of the mysteries to me, how Tavares Bell didn't make the Atlantic 10 all-defensive team. He's got that kind of defensive potential, and maybe that slight will light a fire under him to be even better next year, but he has had a solid season as a sophomore.
Kevin Fry takes to the line, sophomore from Chicago. Tied for 6th in Atlantic 10 free throw shooting with Fordham's Pavon Robin.
This Xavier team, a good free throw shooting squad. Shoot about 72% as a team.
3rd in the conference, and a rebound goes to Henry. Don't forget, NHL Tonight comes up immediately following our game here from Philadelphia. Marbury Rolls it in. Boy, he's strong inside. Got 27 points.
Well, he's not only quick off the dribble, he's strong as well. He's able to absorb a bump. He doesn't get knocked off the ball. And he will get even stronger over the summer. A scoring point guard. You want your point guard to be able to set the table, and that's what Zach Marbury is learning to do. And Skip Prosser not taking his mind off this game, but you know he's thinking ahead to what will face his team tomorrow in St. Bonaventure. A very solid basketball team. Defensively sound, good depth, and they can shoot the ball.
Pretty good size up front with Von Possen, Peter Von Possen, as well as Cyrus.
Well, that'll be the big challenge. For David West, Kevin Fry, Aaron Turner taking the ball up against Cyrus, who's a very good shot blocker. And rebounding will be a much more important task tomorrow night than tonight.
Marbury had a 33-point game earlier in the season. Gives the foul, stops the clock with 1:02 to go. And here's a look at quarterfinal action tomorrow in the Atlantic 10. We'll have the Temple Virginia Tech game for you. UMass GW, Dayton St. Joseph's, and Xavier will take on St. Bonaventure here on ESPN2. That's a 9:30 start Eastern time.
So you better watch out for Dayton, not only in this tournament, but in the NCAA tournament as well. Oliver Purnell has put together a very nice team. Not only Mark Ashman inside, who's got just about every post move in the book, but Tony Stanley, one of the unheralded swingmen in the country. A guy who can score not only in transition, putting the ball on the floor, but he's got a nice pull-up jump shot as Reggie Butler comes into the ballgame.
Kevin Fry leads. Fry on the night with 4 points. Final minute of play. Howard Smith lets it fly, and he hits at the 3. And Rhode Island calls the timeout with 56.1 seconds to go, down 11. Flashback to March 6, 1998. Last time these clubs met in the Atlantic 10 tournament. Rhode Island against Xavier, and Lenny Brown at 16 points, shot 7 of 11, 2 of 4 from three-point range. And how about James Posey at 14 rebounds, 18 points. Darnell Williams added 21 points on 5 of 6 shooting from three-point range. And Xavier won that game in the semis and went on to win the championship.
And Rhode Island didn't do too badly after that themselves. Went to the Elite 8.
That's right. Was it a costly turnover?
Just Arthur Lee knocked it away. Mark Madsen with the dunk and the foul, and that's the lone play that kept Rhode Island from a Cinderella trip to the Final Four. And what a terrific team. Tyson Wheeler, the little left-handed point guard. Coutinho Mobley, who's having such a nice career with the Houston Rockets.
Tyson Wheeler, one of the finest guards to play in the Atlantic 10.
And another fine guard to play in the Atlantic 10, Darnell Williams. Had a quiet 15 points tonight, but he's had a remarkable career. Only an ACL injury, in my opinion, kept him from being one of the all-time greats. Still one of the greatest players to play at Xavier.
Well, here's what the A-10 has done in the NCAA tournament the last decade.
St. Joe's getting to the Sweet 16 in '97, a great accomplishment for that team. Bowing out to Kentucky, and UMass, of course, in the Final Four in '96. A position that had to be vacated because of some improprieties on the part of Marcus Camby.
Temple's had its share. They went to the NIT. Of course, last year Temple went to the Elite 8, losing to Duke in the Eastern Region Finals.
I think in 1995 or so, we have seen the Atlantic 10 turn into one of the power conferences across the country, one that is a force to be reckoned with, and which I thought deserved a little bit more respect last season in getting Xavier into the field. I thought Xavier was an NCAA tournament team last year. And this is a year where, unless St. Bonaventure or Xavier are able to do something special in this tournament, this could be a conference that only gets 2.
That's right.
That's Temple and Dayton. Those 2 teams are locked. And in conventional wisdom, because of RPI numbers being used as indicators, unofficially, the RPI for St. Bonaventure around 48 and 49.
Looks like tomorrow night's game is huge between Bonnies and Xavier.
Very big. And Xavier's RPI numbers in the 70s. But they have proven they can beat absolutely anyone. Tonight, their 20th win. And that is enough, in my judgment, against their schedule to get serious consideration for an at-large bid.
Boy, Reggie Butler comes into the game and finds himself at the free throw line a couple times.
One of the hardest working kids on this team. You know, Dave, though, when you talk about automatic bids, after the 29 automatic qualifiers are in, the committee's got to put in the 35 best teams after that, regardless of conference affiliation. We talk about, so many from this conference. That does not and should not matter. And even the teams from mid-major conferences, they may have had great years and great records. But if their team is not as good as a team from a larger conference that has won 17, 18 games, whatever it may be, against a tougher schedule, then with all due respect to their fine season, they should stay home. Because the best teams need to go after the automatic bids are factored in.
Prescott, his first touch tonight. Toby Guidry in the game. Smith fires. Marbury, you saw him leave the game. He left with 27 points. Number 54 is Kyle Bollinger for Xavier. McIntosh in the corner. Knocked out of bounds by Guidry. 11.9 seconds to go. Skip Prosser will get the 4th straight 21 season and 5th in the last 6 years.
And it's been a long season for Rhode Island, but they can walk off this floor with their heads held high because they battled all season long. They battled adversity, and they've handled it very well. It's not the kind of year certainly they expected or wanted to have.
Not at all.
But this will be some fuel for the fire over the summer of looking to improve. And in a closed-door meeting last week, Jerry DiGregorio promised his team that things were going to be markedly improved next season. He expected all of them to be a part of it.
Nice interception by Brown as the clock winds down. That'll do it. Rhode Island finishes at 5-25 in a 13-game losing streak. Xavier goes to 20-10. Musketeers have won 4 of 5, 8 of 11, and they advance to tomorrow night's game against St. Bonaventure in the quarterfinal. Coming up next, the NHL Tonight. For Jay Billis, I'm Dave Sims. Thanks for joining us here in Philadelphia. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the world.